I don't think that it can be defended. What happened on January 6th was an effort by people who stormed a building in an effort to stop an election. I wish that as Republicans we had a nominee that I could get behind. I certainly can't get behind Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. Are you considering being an independent at this point?
Oh, I think I'm very independent-minded.
Officially, though, officially.
I just regret that our party is seemingly becoming a party of Donald Trump.
Yeah. You becoming an independent caucusing with the Republicans, is that something you're open to?
I am navigating my way through some very interesting political times. Let's just leave it at that.
I'm sitting down and that boat's going down and I'm on top of a battery. And the water starts flooding in. I'm getting concerned. But then I look 10 yards to my left and there's a shark over there. So I have a choice of electrocution or shark. You know what I'm going to take? Electrocution. I will take electrocution every single time. Do we agree?
I want to talk about this bullshit Supreme Court. Oh my fucking God.
Trump yesterday asked the Supreme Court to grant him absolute immunity in the case related to the events of January 6th. And he also wants immunity from chlamydia, just in case, you know.
The idea that we're even going to entertain that there might be a possibility that Donald Trump does have immunity?
Of course, the real loser here is Mulaney. She may end up with half of the nothing he owns now. I hope she got an advance on that prenup, because if you think she hates him now, wait until he's poor. That's gonna...
Not just for crimes when he was in office. Because he's not charged with that. He's charged with crimes after he left. The Supreme Court, at least 4 of them believe that maybe that's cool.
Through all that time, I had over 14 near-death experiences. I'd be in Mexico on a family vacation, and they're going to cut my head off the cartel. And the guy's cutting my head off. He goes, he's ready to cut my head. I go, I'm not going to buy this sword. And the other guy goes, Senor, he doesn't want to sell you a sword. He wants to cut off your head. And I go, what's wrong with you? You know, but they're going, what's wrong with this guy's loco? He wants to, you know, but it was just deflection. And I went, what did I do? And I got out of that. I went and did another line of cocaine.
Now, the reality is the 14th Amendment was never going to fly. Obviously, plain text, they say they're originalists. Obviously, it should. The idea that this guy could be on the ballot is absurd.
This evidence tonight is going to be so explosive and so it's going to shock the world. You're going to see something else that will shock the world. Look at this most explosive, shocking evidence the world has ever seen. You're going to go, whoa, it's going to shock the world. 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 So shocking, it should shock the world. Woo! I mean, it's going to shock the world. 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 No one's going to believe it. It's going to shock the world.
But they're going to say.
No, they were totally real.
Hello, everyone. It's your favorite president speaking to you on a really great day of victory.
Until he's prosecuted, he can't be kept off the ballot. So Colorado and Illinois are just shit out of luck. But that's not what this video is about.
Viktor Orban. Did anyone ever hear of him? He's the leader of Turkey.
I like besitos. It's called like up here, and it's called memory, and it's called other things.
So you don't remember saying you have one of the best memories?
I don't remember that.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your
that he'll argue he didn't commit any wrongdoing because his lawyers were involved in the incident. Yes, that's a little-known loophole. If there's a lawyer there, nothing is a crime.
The reality is, they are setting this up to change America forever. What are we talking about here? Is it possible that a president is free to do every crime?
Well, thank you very much. And you see the spirit from the hostages, and that's what they are, as hostages. They've been treated terribly. How about a couple of more indictments, Joe, you dumb son of a... Dumb son of a... Right? Young people, they're in jail for years, and if you call them people, I don't know if you call them people. In some cases, they're not people, in my opinion, but these are bad. These are animals, okay? We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole... That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. If this election isn't won, I'm not sure that you'll ever have another election in this country. Does that make sense?
Are we actually suggesting that a president cannot be prosecuted?
And can you imagine this face constantly on your screen, spreading lies, insanity, conspiracies, and cruelty everywhere, all the time? Again.
Is it possible this is just a delaying tactic to give Trump a couple of more months? Because they're not even going to fucking hear the thing until April. The end of April.
This face, hovering over every story, every event, every minute of every day.
After all, that is what Trump wants. Delay, delay, delay. Everybody knows he's fucking guilty. We all saw it on TV. But if he can just get to the election, maybe the stupid people won't know.
Constantly putting America in danger. Always in legal trouble. Forever angry. Constantly lying.
And as Donald Trump likes to say,
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Of course, this is virtually the same court that ruled that we shouldn't even recount the ballots in 2000. Back then, Republicans didn't want anybody to count ballots because, if they did, it would have showed that Al Gore won. Now, of course, they scream about how the ballots aren't counted properly, even though they themselves paid for multiple recounts, all of which resulted in more votes for Biden. But, of course, in 2000, you had a court that just simply stopped it all. Now, this isn't the same court as back then, because now, of course, it is stacked with Trump Republicans.
Ronna, ultimately, there were 250 audits. They never found there was any corruption. Did you not have a responsibility as the RNC chair to say before January 6th, the election is not rigged, that Donald Trump lost, given that there were audits, given that there were more than 60 court cases that occurred all across the country, and that Donald Trump lost?
The reality is, Joe Biden won. He's the president. He's the legitimate president. I have always said, and I continue to say, there were issues in 2020. I believe that both can be true.
Maybe they're just trying to help. Delay, delay, delay. I mean, it took 2 weeks for them to issue this bullshit. It'll be another 7 weeks till the trial. That alone might make it impossible for this trial to happen before Election Day.
Let me just stop you, because you just said Joe Biden's a legitimately elected president. This is the first time you have said this.
It's not. I have said it many times.
Well, this is what you said a year ago to Chris Wallace. I want to play you what you said.
Are you saying, as the chair of the Republican Party, that you still have questions as to whether or not Joe Biden was the duly elected president?
Joe Biden's the president.
No, I didn't ask you whether he's the president.
No, I don't think that. I think
Do you
there were
think
lots of problems.
he won the election?
I think there were lots of problems with 2020.
Do you think
he won the election.
Pardon?
But ultimately, he won the election. But there were lots of problems with the 2020 election. 100%.
And that's fair.
But I don't think he won it fair. I don't. I'm not going to say that.
So you didn't say he won it fair at that point. Can you say, as you sit here today, did Joe Biden win the election fair and square?
He won. He's the legitimate
Did he win
president.
Fair and square?
Fair and square, he won. It's certified. It's done.
Look, let me deal with the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I think our bosses owe you an apology for putting you in this situation, because I don't know what to believe. She is now a paid contributor by NBC News. So I have no idea whether any answer she gave to you was because she didn't want to mess up her contract. She wants us to believe that she was speaking for the RNC when the RNC was paying for it. And look, there's a reason why there's a lot of journalists at NBC News uncomfortable with this, because many of our professional dealings with the RNC over the last 6 years have been met with gaslighting. have been met with character assassination. So it is, that's where you begin here. And so when NBC made the decision to give her NBC News' credibility, you got to ask yourself, what does she bring NBC News?
If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press, being very candid.
That's Trump's greatest hope. Just have a post-election trial. Because then you can just simply blow the whole thing off. Because you're the president now. And apparently, they're immune. Am I the only one that sees the obvious? That if a president is immune, then why would he ever leave office? If it's possible that they're going to rule in favor of Donald Trump on presidential immunity, then God help us if he ever gets back in office. Because there's no crime he can be tried for, up to and including the next coup.
The RNC helped the Trump campaign assemble fake electors in Michigan, provide a platform for Trump lawyers to hold that news conference with Rudy Giuliani alleging a global conspiracy to rig the election against Trump. And you yourself called the election rigged multiple times. Did you enable Donald Trump to spread election lies?
Let's go back to time.
But
initially in November of 2020, there were concerns everywhere. Imagine you saw videos being put out, all types of things. You have to track that down.
And so when NBC made the decision to give her NBC News' credibility, you got to ask yourself, what does she bring NBC News? And when we make deals like this, and I've been at this company a long time, you're doing it for access.
Are these people so fucking stupid as to see that? Or, I guess I just, like everybody else in America, trust Joe Biden enough to not pull that shit himself. I used to tell my dad it was the end of democracy. He'd say, no, son, no. It's never going to be that bad. These people are on the fringe. Well, now they run that fucking party. And if they take over again, it's over. So I'm counting on everybody to get out there and vote against Donald Trump. Because clearly it's up to us. But nothing's changed. It always was. And we can beat these people. We must beat these people. Because if we don't, it's going to suck missing the election in 2028. Because the damn thing's not going to exist. Or we're all going to be drugged through the streets. I'll be one of the first. I'll be in some prison camp somewhere, probably in, northern Russia. Oh, well, I hear the gulag's nice this time of year. Well, maybe not this time of year. I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Maybe they'll arrest me in the summer. Y'all take it easy.
Ron, I think what people struggle with is by the time January 6th happened, all of those court cases, more than 60 court cases, had already been litigated. Donald Trump had lost. The Supreme Court said they're not going to take up concerns. As the head of the RNC, did you not have a responsibility to say Joe Biden won?
I've said that.
At the time, before January 6th, and you're still saying that there were concerns this morning.
Saying there's concerns about the election doesn't mean he didn't win, and that's the only thing I'm going to say.
Embarrassing us everywhere. This face and yours every day for 4 more years. It felt like it would never end before. If he wins this time, it never will.